start teacher walkthroughs the first week of school? That's the question that we're going to be answering today. Hi, my name is Barbara Pope, Principals on the Come Up. What I want to know is, why do principals like us make a difference in the lives of students despite all the obstacles that we have to overcome to transform schools into hallelujah success stories? And how do we improve our schools when demographics is used as an excuse to accept mediocre performance? And how do we deal with central office directives and timelines that don't align with our vision? If you're facing these challenges, here is where you'll find the answers to overcome any obstacle you encounter. So we're going to be looking at today, why start teacher walkthroughs the first week of school. Now, I know it's the first week of school that's coming up real soon, and you've been doing all of your planning. You have been making recommendations to hire teachers. You've even received some resignations before school has even started. We know how that is, and you're trying to scurry and help fulfill that position. We also know that you are planning for teacher orientation. You're planning for student orientation. You're checking the building, making sure that all your checkoffs are done. But there's something that has been said to be done year after year, and we as principals have just ignored it. We've never been through times like this where we are having to recruit teachers the way we are recruiting teachers or retain teachers. And one of the best ways to recruit and retain teachers is to provide them the kind of support that they need, because teachers are saying, I'm leaving the profession because I'm not getting the support that I need. But I want to tell you that we need to start doing teacher walkthroughs the first week of school. Now, I know that first week of school, you are going to be making sure everybody has schedules. You're going to be making sure that your counselors are still enrolling students with parents. We're going to be concerned about the drop-off and pickup. And you're going to be getting calls from central administration wanting to know how things are going. And even central administration will just kind of leave you alone before they come and they do their walkthroughs, because they believe that, that first week of school, just give things time to settle, and then everything will be all right. And then we'll just pick up, and then we will start our teacher walkthroughs. But I want to tell you that the teacher walkthrough should be started the first week of school. And the reason it should be started the first week of school is because teachers have said that first week of school is when I made my biggest mistakes. That first week of school is when teachers are establishing their classroom rules. That first week of school is when teachers are starting their instruction. For some of them, that first week of school is just making sure that students have everything they need, that they understand the formulas for the process of how we manage classroom instruction, how we enter the classroom, how we exit the classroom, our rules. We'll be listening to the principal at the beginning of the school day, giving directives. All of those things are going on. But that one day or that second day is going to be fine. But that third day, that's going to be some instruction going on. And we as principals need to be in those classrooms looking for that instruction. So when you are going inside those classrooms, that's the kinds of things that you're going to be looking for. That stuff needs to be in place right now. You shouldn't have to wait later on to go into those classrooms and start looking to make sure that the objectives are on the board. What you're doing with that first week of school, you are supporting teachers in the greatest way. So let's reanalyze what the purpose of the visit is, and let's realize it. It's to observe learning. And if there's not learning going on in the first week of school, we have a problem. That's the opportunity for us, both as the teacher and the principal, for us to observe the learning, observing the environment, looking at the teacher-student interactions and your instructional practices. It's time for you to see if the teacher is organized or disorganized or doesn't understand how to start the lesson. The teacher doesn't have a warm-up on the board because for whatever reason, you can see the immediate feedback and encouragement that teacher is giving those students. And I know on that first week of school that everybody's on their best behavior. Of course, everybody's on their best behavior. They have their best clothes on, their best shoes on, they're smelling good, their hair is done. But we need to be in those classrooms. And the benefits, the other benefits is that we're gonna spot some potential problems, some potential issues at the beginning of the first week of school, and the second week, and the third week, and that's going to be our opportunity to offer the kind of timely solutions that's going to help those teachers. We want to give them the confidence that they need. We want to let them know you made a mistake. It's okay. I'm just here to support you. I'm here for you to get with the instructional coach if you have one, or to get with the assistant principal, or with the counselor, or your department chair, to find out just what it is that you actually need. Because if we don't do it then they're going to continue. They're going to start at the beginning of the school year making mistakes, not getting with their department chair, or not following the directives of their instructional coach, or the instructional coach doesn't have time to get into the classroom because we as principals, we have our instructional coach doing other things. So that means that we don't have anybody in that classroom who can reinforce what that teacher is doing well, or to get with that teacher and show them what practice needs some assistance. And so that we are just setting the tone for the rest of the school year. So if that new teacher or that returning teacher, even that veteran teacher say, wow, they're here in the classrooms, they're observing us, they're letting us know. And so that builds the confidence, that sets the tone for the school year right from the beginning. So when you are visiting the classroom, just look at the simple things. This is just a review for you. The only difference is that we're doing this at the beginning of the school year. You're looking at the classroom environment. Everything is all pretty. You're looking to see how the room is organized. You're looking to see how the students are engaged, and you're looking for classroom management. Now, classroom management is a class all by itself. There are some teachers who have prepared their instruction. They have a beautiful classroom, but they do not have classroom management. And let's be real. The beginning of the year, the first month, the first week, it's not going to be much discipline or any kind of classroom management issues that first week. But if there is some type of classroom management that first week, we are going to be there to help to establish what we can do in order to help that teacher, or to get with another teacher in that department to help that teacher from the very beginning. Because we know now that if we do not give our teachers the kind of support that they think they need, if they feel as though that door closed and they were just in there with those students and they were just lost, then they will feel as if they're hyperventilating and that things are just not going right. And if we don't go into those classrooms now, we will not find out until it's too late, until they're starting to do things where in a way that is not helpful to transforming the culture that we want in our buildings. So it's also an opportunity for us to, get some communication going on with our new teacher, or with our returning teacher, because some of us last year, we had some dynamite teachers last year who were just doing some excellent jobs. But we also had teachers who were just off the chain. They just could not get, they just couldn't get it right. They just couldn't get it right. And we spent most of our time there. And we did not have the opportunity to get with those teachers who were just knocking it out of the park and establish the kind of relationships. We were too busy asking them to help us do this or help us do that. And the thing that is going to be the kicker to all of this is that we got to get some feedback to them right away. And I'm proposing that feedback gets back to them within 24 hours. And I'm not talking about feedback through a text or through an email. I'm talking about face-to-face, personal touch to show that you care about that teacher's growth. What that's going to do, that's going to give that teacher some immediate atta girl, atta boy, you did a great job. It's going to have you to do some immediate clarifications and and it's going to build some trust. It's going to build some rapport between you and that teacher. And also as the administrator, you're going to get with either your counselor or your assistants, and you're going to say some things that you found out that this teacher thought was not appropriate for instruction in that classroom. Or the teacher, when they're new or when they're returning and they have different students, they may have students with IEP plans that for some reason they didn't understand. They didn't know what questions to ask because they hadn't experienced this until they got into the classroom. And you as the principal happened to be in there and you were able to give that teacher that support that she needed. And because being in that classroom that first week is frustrating enough. And being a new teacher or being a teacher that's new to that school, you don't understand that school culture. You don't understand that school's policies. You're accustomed to doing things differently. That is when we need to be in there to give them support. So how are we going to give them support within 24 hours and we want that support face-to-face? Well, what we're going to have to do is you and to the teacher. You may have the teacher to come to your office or you may go to that teacher's classroom. So the way you're going to do that, how you're going to do that is you as the principal, you may decide that according to your schedule, you are on Monday and Tuesday, you are going to visit the ELA and the social studies department. You know what teachers they have there. And then you have those follow-up visits embedded in your calendar so that you can have that face-to-face with them. And it doesn't take long. You may just want to, for the first time, to say, I enjoyed your classroom. I saw, some things that I didn't quite understand, and have them to explain that to you. And of course, you're going to start that meeting. I mean, and this is a good review. You're going to build them up. You're going to build them up. You're going to build them up by highlighting their strengths. You're going to talk to them about the successful practices that you observed. And then you're going to tactfully share the areas of improvement. And you're going to focus on a specific behavior and you're going to give them a strategy. You're not going to tell without show. You're not going to tell without show. So you may want to go over with them a particular strategy. It may be that their exit ticket was not done in a way that showed that there was preparation in advance. There may have been, some instruction that is level 1 instruction. It wasn't any higher order questioning that was done. You may just find something as simple as a teacher in the classroom. She's just rocking and rolling and she's asking questions of students and the students are just throwing their hands up, or they're not throwing their hands up at all. They're just yelling out answers to questions. And the teacher is responding, well, yes, that's right, or no, that's wrong. That's not the right answer. And it could be just simply, having the talk with the teacher, to encourage her to have students to raise their hand and tell her why I have students raise their hand. The teacher may not, she just may not get it. She may not have been in that environment where students were required to raise their hand. And the purpose of a student to, raise their hand is because you have the same students hollering out the answers to the questions because they may be the smartest one in the class. So what about that student that's struggling? What about the questions that move to a higher order? If those students are answering those level 1 basic questions, then that teacher cannot move on to a higher order. It could be a strategy that you will share where you will ask the question and you will tell the students, I'm going to give you, 3 seconds or 5 seconds to think about the answer to this question. And then I want you to raise your hand. Something as simple as that. You want to use constructive language with your teachers, especially your teachers that are coming back, that you didn't get a chance to see in action. You just heard them because it was just so much going on last school year. Give them feedback and frame that feedback in a way that's going to promote growth and it's going to avoid personal criticism. So that means that if you have a student who was constantly yelling out and the teacher just ignored that, then what you will say is that I noticed there was that one student, who just kept yelling out. And I want you to know that there is a way for you after you can go to that student and you can tell the student, I know that, you're smart and you know the answers. And I really, really appreciate you contributing to the classroom. But let me call on you instead of yelling out. And that way, I will give you an opportunity to be recognized for all that you know, because I know that you're a good student. I mean, something as simple as that. And it's also an opportunity for you to find out that maybe some of your teachers got hired and they didn't get a chance to go to new teacher professional development. They usually will send you a list of teachers who were not hired in time to have the new teacher professional development. And when you have your observation meeting with that teacher or those teachers, you may find out that they didn't get a chance to go to the professional development. They didn't have the opportunity to do that. And that's also a time for you to find out about mentorship. And to determine if this particular teacher is going to be one that's going to need your mentorship, and you will have a personal experience when your assistant or your instructional coach goes in there and you said, this is what I've seen. So at the very beginning, the first week of school, you're offering the kind of support that most of us never got. We never got a chance to see the principal the first week of school. Man, we was just hustling and going on about our business. And when one class period was over, we just kind of exhaled and said, well, let me try to do this again. If you're secondary, or there was some kind of misunderstanding with the schedule, and you didn't understand what was going on in that particular class. But we are there to offer the support to those teachers. This is the kind of support they need. And then encourage two-way conversation. Not you doing all the talking, you do the listening. As principals, we have so much information, a plethora of information. We know, the ups and the downs, the unders and the rounds. We know everything, but allow them to speak. Allow the teachers to share their perspective because they may have a different perspective. They may have, gone through an alternative certification program and may have learned something different from the way we have done our instruction. And let's see how we can take what that teacher has learned, and maybe we can make that a part of the system that we have in our district, and that'll make it more effective. So I want you, when you meet with those teachers that first week, I want you to be specific, and I want you to provide examples. There's nothing worse than you telling a teacher that the exit ticket was not prepared well. Give them an example of a good exit ticket and tell them why. Again, actively listen to the teacher's perspective, and don't overwhelm them with too much information, with too much feedback all at once. And don't make assumptions or be judgmental about their language, because we are, dealing with a group of young people, and they do things differently. They hear things differently, and you need to be able to hear them and to understand them. And the other thing is do more, continue to do your follow-up and support to make sure the things that you discuss with them, that those things actually happen. So if they did not get a chance to go through a new teacher orientation, make sure that there is a group, there is a scheduled time for other teachers who were not hired at the very beginning of school to be able to go through the same thing. And schedule a follow-up meeting and talk about the progress that they have made. When you're doing this, I mean, you are offering encouragement. You are making that new teacher or that returning teacher feel that you are approachable, that they feel comfortable being able to speak to you, because I'm telling you that if you do not get into those classrooms starting that first week of school, teachers will start doing things their way because they don't know any other way. They will try to manufacture things that's going to work in their classroom. And they will continue to do that for the first reporting period. If you don't get in there, if you or your assistant principals don't get in there, you know who will get in there? It'll be somebody who's doing things all wrong, and they will be impacting your school culture in a negative way. We always have those people who support us, and then we have those others who, long for days past, when Miss So-and-so was here, we didn't do such and such. And now with this principal, this principal doesn't know what he's doing. She doesn't know what she's doing. I mean, we've never done things like that before. You want to be able to form those relationships with those teachers so that you can make sure that they get what they need. So the important thing is that we need to get into those classrooms. We need to get into those classrooms now, so that as we go back and as we see our teachers grow, and when it comes time for evaluations, our teachers will come to us and say, I need help with this, or I need help with that, because you're laying the foundation that first week of school. The teachers see that you're involved in the classroom. They see that you're dedicated to supporting them, and that you want them to have the best learning environment. So the way you do this, again, you can pre-schedule your visits if you'd like. Um, you can have your visits scheduled either before school or after school or during their conference period, or again maybe a department is off at a certain period, and that's the time that you visit with your teachers. When it comes to visiting teachers themselves, you can come up with some type of rotation schedule where you can have the teacher observation at one period, and then when you know that there's going to be another period where you will not have to pull your teachers away from their instruction to visit you. And then focus, of course, on specific areas as you visit those teachers. Focus on specific areas that you're interested in during each of your visits. As you visit them, you may say that you want to concentrate on classroom management during that visit, or you may concentrate the next on instructional strategies. But the purpose of being in the classrooms the first week of school is, one, to give the teachers support, tangible support. Second, you provide a relationship. You show that you're approachable. You are making sure that they understand the climate and the culture on your campus. Making sure that you don't have other people who are not building a positive culture on the campus to pull them, in an opposite direction. And when we're talking about professional development, we get a chance to see teachers from the beginning to the middle to the end. So when it comes to the first semester, you can see how that teacher has grown. It's almost like, having a new plant at the beginning of the school year, and it's just so beautiful. And we have to water that plant. We got to put a little nourishment in that plant. We got to put a little weeds in that plant. Sometimes we don't give it enough water, and it wilts. And if we don't pay attention, it'll die. It'll die. We have to give it the water and the nourishment it needs. And then at the end of that first semester, we will start to see a little bloom if it's a plant that blooms. And it's not going to bloom all at once. It's going to bloom a little bit at a time. And it's going to take time. It said it takes 3 to 5 years to develop a teacher who is proficient. We're not only building our teachers' skill, but we're building our teachers' will. Our teachers have to be willing to learn. They have to be willing to want to work for you as their principal because they have a relationship with you. And then we as the professionals, we as the principals, we give them the skill. We provide the professional development for them. We work with them in our PLCs. We work with them within our departments, and we're growing. So that at the end of the school year, there are no surprises. There are no rushing around saying, I never saw this teacher. I didn't see her but one time. I heard that she did this or he did that. And you have no reference point. You have no reference point. So just as a reminder and just to summarize, why start teacher walkthroughs the first week of school? Because we want to build professionals. Because we want to build relationships. Because we want to form our teachers to have the kind of culture that we expect, because we want to be able to see them grow. We want to be able to help them with their instruction, help them with their classroom management. And then when we're talking about test scores, we've had everything in place. We don't even need to talk about scores because we have everything in place. We have done everything that we needed. When we start talking about tutorials, we have everything that we need. We know our people know us. And that way, at the end of the school year, we can look at evaluations, or we can look at the results of test scores, and we can say that our school had a hallelujah success story. And that's how you do it. So if you have, received some information, got this information, and you need some support in this area, then I am inviting you to give me a call at barbararaypogue.com for a 15, 20-minute consult where we can talk about coaching you as the principal on that campus, where we talk about things like this. We talk about the ways you can grow as the principal. We talk about ways for your school to either sustain their success or to be a hallelujah success story. And the other thing, if you look at your information, you will find that on the post we have a free 10-page booklet on sustaining your school success. And of course, if you're not a member of Principals on the Come Up, we invite you to be a member of Principals on the Come Up. And if you are a member of Principals on the Come Up, you can go on and you can invite other professionals to get information that we get here on Principals on the Come Up. So we'll see you next week on Principals on the Come Up, where we transform schools into hallelujah success stories. See you next time.